Hello viewers, this is Omoyele Sowore reaching you live from Sahara Reporters here in New York, and today we are combining an interview with American civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson, who is going to be talking to us from Abuja, where he's been visiting with President Goodluck Jonathan to celebrate Nigeria's Democracy Day, which took place yesterday. Reverend Jesse Jackson, you're welcome to Sahara TV, Sahara Reporters in New York.
Well, good to share with you. I want people to know that good luck is his name. It's not his destiny.
Yes, that's very, very interesting that we're
Yeah.
starting on a very, very religious note. I understand, Reverend, that this is your second time in 3 weeks. That must have been very hectic for you.
Yes, I was in Besley Estate 2 weeks ago on the occasion of celebrating the legacy of Isaac Boris, who was a martyr in that struggle to free that region of Nigeria, and they were celebrating it, and an economic conference held by Governor Henry Dixon.
Yes.
Quite a meeting we had there, but I had another invitation to come to Democracy Day back here in Nigeria, celebrated in Abuja yesterday. It was a magnificent ceremony as Nigeria has now been free from colonialism 53 years, but they had a continuous democracy for 14 years.
Yes.
So they're celebrating their continuous democracy now 14 years.
Wow. So before now, you had been part of the movement to bring about democracy to Nigeria, especially during military rule. When was the last time you were in Nigeria before this particular trip?
Over a period of time, we were in. I came back when General Garland was head of state. I was here when when Bob and Gita was head of state. We took a mission across the frontline states at that time when South Africa was bombing the frontline states. Nigeria was very helpful in that Free South Africa part of our struggle. I was here, frankly, working with Abiola before he was killed. I met with Abache. And so across the years, we've been here. But this time around, I'm glad to say that the sun is rising in Nigeria.
Wow.
1/4 of all Africans are Nigerian. Their wingspan touches 1/2 of the population of all of Africa. So as Nigeria grows, all of West Africa grows. In addition to its growth, there are 6,000 troops outside its borders in peacekeeping missions, not in war missions. So Nigeria is becoming an increasing force in the world community.
Yes. So you've had in about 2 weeks, in less than 2 weeks, it will be June 12th. That was the day Nigeria conducted an election in 1993 that was regarded as the freest and fairest election in Nigeria's history. And your friend, as you said, Moshood Abiola won that election. And what do you have to say about your experiences during that period?
Well, many of us believed he won the election, and it was unfortunate what happened that they did not allow the count to be counted, did not count the stand. I remember coming here to meet with Abache on the field to meet with Abiola. I was able to meet with him, but he was so disoriented. He didn't know where he was. A terrible thing happened to Abiola during that season. My sense is that Nigeria is beyond that now, that there's a commitment now to democracy by the people. This irreversible people becoming more and more sensitive as to the importance of their vote, their person, their right to self-determination, and now they're putting pressure now, for example, on the oil companies. I mean, there's not one refinery in Nigeria. There's exporting crude around the world and coming back as gasoline. So they're not getting full miles out of the gas. And these companies, of course, are violating them with these gas flares and spillages and environmental hazards. But I sense that Nigerians are really ready for the task of reinfrastructure building.
Yes. Reverend, the other thing the other side of this is that Nigeria is right now in the grip of an Islamic militancy and insurgency that has killed thousands of people. And as a matter of fact, about 4 states, and I think 3 main states in Nigeria are under emergency rule. Did you feel this while you were in Abuja that things might not be as rosy as you've been made to understand or feel?
Well, we certainly hope that last week President Goodluck Jonathan released a significant number of women uh, trying to reduce the pressure. We hope that the war will subside and that in this country Christians and Muslims coexist. If it's a battle for expanding democracy and for a place at the table, it can survive. But if it is an insurgency committed to secession, it will not survive. But I get the impression it's being handled. Now the issue is not just how do we handle a problem with military, how we deal with extreme poverty in the North. I mean, there must be a commitment now to rebuild churches and rebuild mosques and to feed hungry people, to break up the cycle of poverty, because poverty becomes a feeding ground for ugly, violent resistance oftentimes.
The other question, Reverend, is where Nigeria is right now in terms of relevance internationally. As you know, last week President Obama announced that he was visiting a bunch of African countries and left out Nigeria. And here is Nigeria that is a great champion in peacekeeping operations in the area. And but yet it's not significant enough to attract the visit by President Obama. Why do you think this is happening in the middle of all of what
I'm
you're
not.
saying now?
I'm not sure. I'm not a part of those who are making that decision. He's going to a Senegal, which is a good place to go, a French-speaking West African country. He's coming back. He's going to South Africa and going to Tanzania. I don't know where else he's going here. But at some point in time, I hope that he will put Nigeria on the agenda because it is fundamentally, it's the largest group of African people in the world in Africa. And this continent will overtake China's growth in 2 years. And 7 of the 10 fastest growing countries in the world in Africa, and the fastest of them is Nigeria. It's around a 7 to 9% growth rate. In America is around 2.4% growth rate. So there are many reasons to come here, and every issue that should be raised, if you were to come here, you would have the platform from which to raise it. If it's concerned about the environment, I think it should be raised from here. The concern about poverty at home or here, it should be raised from here. I think Nigeria, being the American partner it is, deserves real first-class recognition.
Yes, one of the things that you've been quoted as saying during this trip is to say that transparency under President Goodluck Jonathan has been unequaled in contemporary democracy. Is this something you want to expatiate upon? Because it seems to be the opposite, going by what the U.S. government and agencies are saying, that corruption is actually increasing in Nigeria.
I
Major
saw something,
corruption bodies are saying.
yesterday I had never seen before. At the 2 year mark, they had his plan, his reconstruction plan, and his cabinet members presented what their departments were doing and their budgets and showed where the money was. Transportation Department, Economic Development Department. We used to have a speech by the president on the State of the Union. One person speaks and the other party argues. He laid out in every department road construction, oil revenues, and the like, and it was exciting to see that level of transparency. I had never seen that before.
Yes, I understand, sir. But Reverend, what we're saying is that not a difference between the reality on the ground and what you saw just attending one event in Abuja? That's the question I'm trying to
Well, this
flesh out,
was
because
on the
there's been a
ground.
controversy around that you probably didn't thoroughly look at this very well from the position of the corruption that's going on in the country. The fact
You
that
know,
there's almost blackout as we speak, almost every part of Nigeria, because money that are meant
the
for
country.
development have been embezzled by public officials.
Well, I think the issue of having, I've spent a lot of time yesterday on the three dimensions of a democratic government: legislative, judicial, executive, and how more crooks are being captured. That's a big deal here.
Mm-hmm.
They're mindful of the fact that there's 300,000 to 500,000 barrels of oil are stolen a day.
Yes.
That's a problem that must be addressed. They're aware of oil flares, gas flares by Shell and Chevron. A problem to be dealt. They were not at all hiding unfinished business, but transparency was in evidence because they exposed weaknesses and strengths. If you come, you will see building more roads built. You will see more youth in school. You will see more health clinics built. and that is good news. Now, there's every now and then there may be a little electrical shortage or a blackout. But I'm thinking about Nigeria been free 56 years. Where was America at age 56? It was a slave-holding trading country. Where were we at 56? Denying people the right to be people. And so as I look at these African countries from Ghana down to South Africa, they have problems going from freedom from colonialism to democracy to learning how to run democracy to growth to economic parity. But I say Africa is well on its way.
Well, that's fantastic, Reverend. And another thing is like how to discuss how African Americans in this part of the world have related with Africa and Africans, one part and African leaders on the other. For example, somebody like Robert Mugabe is popular, among some African Americans in the U.S. But at home, he's seen as an oppressor. He's seen as a dictator.
Well,
How do you reconcile some of these
well,
things?
he's not seen as a dictator by all Zimbabweans. That's not fair. I mean, and what he has basically done lately, which has been very, is finally get through land reform in Zimbabwe, which must ultimately be done in South Africa, by the way.
Yes.
He's about 99. At some point, his time will come in his work, but there is the democracy and voting in Zimbabwe. As a matter of fact, it's kind of he and Shagrai got shared government. And when I was there 2 weeks ago, one senses that they look forward to having an election. Matter of fact, the American ambassador yesterday publicly commended Mugabe and in Zimbabwe on having an open climate for voting, and so been some difficult days there, but they're on the rise. They've been free for 20 years.
So you think this is we're good to we're good in the relationship that there's we're listening to the pulse of Africans.
We look at Africa out of the eyes of Tarzan sometime, and out of the eyes of our legacy of race.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about 7 of the 10 fastest growing countries in the world are in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the impact that Nigeria produced 1/5 of the world's oil. You think about stable governments now and democracy taking hold. This is just 56 years since Ghana. That's why I say unequivocally that Africa's on the rise. Where was America at age 56? Buying and selling people. Where was Britain at age 56? Buying and selling people. These countries are far more advanced than the media projects them to be. When President Obama comes here, he's going to see growing economies. I wish he could come to Nigeria as well as he's in Ghana. I don't know what his complete schedule is yet. I know it is South Africa, and that's a place to go.
Yeah.
Essentially, you have a black political leadership of the economic infrastructure. So it's because of the suffering there and President Mandela, South Africa kind of showcased South Africa. Now look at the rest of Africa because it had white rule and domination for so long. Go to Tanzania, Jewish and Irish country. But it's coming here is a good thing. It puts light on Africa.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say about, of course, the international media and how they continue to see some of these things? Because that is something that is always debated, this idea that Africa is not well portrayed on one side, and the other side that, the truth also is that Africa is not well governed either, going by what we know and what people of Africa know.
Well, while the Western media is criticizing China's investing in building roads and bridges and sewers, built the AU Center in Addis Ababa.
Yes.
And so Africans are on a rhythm of growth and development, and the opinion of outsiders will not determine Africa's fate. But more and more writers are beginning to appreciate the significance of this growth. The kind of fighting you have in Egypt and Iraq and Syria and Libya and the like, you don't have in Africa. I mean, that's where the killing is taking place, not Africa.
Yes. So
America, we're caught in 5 wars. Right? We're in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Syria, and perhaps Yemen. That's not the case in Africa.
Yes. So what was your opinion about, the revolution that took place in Tunisia and Egypt, and perhaps, what happened in Libya? Is this something you agree with as a civil rights
No, no.
activist yourself?
I think it was unnecessary to kill Gaddafi.
Okay.
And now we have holy chaos in Libya. We have holy hell now in Iraq. And these very expensive misadventures are costing us. And these wars are not over. They may be over in the media, but they're not over. People are dying and being blown up in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Syria every day. And we're losing lives and saying we're winning. That's incomprehensible to me.
So let's go home to Chicago. That's your home state and home city, I'll say. And one of the things that Chicago is known for in Nigeria, for example, is that there's a place where Carol Brown mostly came from to support Abacha. It's where Minister Louis Farrakhan came and supported Abacha, and this were pretty difficult and toxic period in Nigeria's history. What do you think informed those kind of alliances and solidarity when Nigerians were under the jackboot of military dictatorship? And this is the reason why now, when you said Nigeria is really transparent, there's a whole war on the internet that, maybe this is another kind of window dressing being carried out by Reverend Jesse Jackson on behalf of Goodluck Jonathan.
People are free to make choices that they want to make. I didn't support the Bachi.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking.
I support Obasanjo. Yeah. I tell you that.
Yes.
And now I support the growth that we see in Africa and in Nigeria today. And some blacks Americans support the Buthelezi. I support the Mandela, but that does not tell the depth and breadth of our commitment one to the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great, Reverend. And do you have any messages for those people outside of Nigeria?
Well, it is that now's the time for us to see Africa with respect and appreciation. Okay. This is a growing country. It is the most resourceful continent on earth. Democracy is on the increase. Stability is on the increase. Economic growth is on the increase. And this land will be in time the land of our dreams.
Right. So thank you so much, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for talking to us from Abuja tonight, and we wish you safe travels back to the U.S. or wherever your trip might take you next. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.